4 gear, and that lets you save.
Look here.
True Form Life.
Green look on it.
Welcome to Exploring Mind and Body with Drew Tadia. Drew is an expert in nutrition, fitness, lifestyle, and more. And he wants to help you live a healthier, longer, and more active life. Now here's your host, Drew Tadia.
Welcome to another edition of nationally syndicated Exploring Mind and Body. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in and being a part of our True Form Life community. We certainly wouldn't be here without you. Whether you are listening on terrestrial radio across the country or as a podcast around the world, today we have another rocking show for you. So buckle up. We have Nancie Vito coming on, and she's talking about how to get out of your own way. I think we can all resonate with this in some way or another. We're talking about how to avoid excuses by getting your workouts in, meal planning, how to be more productive at work. There's all kinds of tips and takeaways as we talk about how to get out of your own way. So sit back and enjoy. We got all that coming up.
This is Exploring Mind and Body. Naturally improve your lifestyle one show at a time with your host, Drew Tadia.
All right, welcome to another edition of Exploring Mind and Body. We have Nancie right here with us today. Thank you so much for joining us, Nancie.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to speak with you.
I'm excited to have you with us. So Nancie, let's just do it. Let's jump into it. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. So my name is Nancie Vito, and I am a life coach. I've been doing this since 2009 in a world where coaching seems very trendy at the moment, especially these last couple of years. I've been doing it for almost 10 years. I learned coaching skills in 2006 and then started my practice in 2009. And most of my clients are aspiring entrepreneurs, although I do have a lot of folks who come to me who are burnt out in their 9-to-5 jobs and wanting to transition. And I used to work in public mental health and, do something a little bit different. It's still kind of mental health, but more on the positive mental health side. And it's about helping people flourish in their lives, helping people to find joy, find fulfillment, and, make conscious decisions about designing their life.
Where does the idea come from? So you said, we know that,
yeah,
we know that coaching is, everyone's a coach now, but you were doing it, and it probably last 5 years that everyone became a coach. Before that, you were doing that for 10 years now. Where did you get the idea that this is something that I want to do or could turn into a business?
So I worked at a university in psychiatry, actually. And because I worked at a university, I had the opportunity to attend lectures and workshops occasionally on campus. And there's a sociologist there. His name is Corey Keyes. He studies the concept of human flourishing, positive psychology, that sort of thing. And I had the opportunity to see him speak several times. And every time I would see Dr. Keyes speak, I would be like sitting straight up. I would be like taking so many notes. So it was a time when I needed it in my life. And then, I was like, that's what I want to do and help people do the same. So I started looking into it more and more. And I kind of stumbled across coaching and, enrolled in a certification program and really how the idea came about.
And this is what you do, like full time?
It's my job. I still do public health stuff a little bit. If someone will contact me occasionally for working on a project, a contract project, I'll take it on here and there. But coaching is my full time for the most part. Yeah.
Awesome. I'd be interested to know, maybe you have a couple of tips since how there's so many coaches out there. How did you actually transition into a business?
It's interesting because I wouldn't do it necessarily again how I did it, which was just go cold turkey without a big plan, which is interesting because I help people completely have like an exit strategy because I help a lot of people who are, again, burnt out in their jobs and want to start their own businesses. But I had a couple of months, where I was wanting to leave and, I did give a good bit of notice, but I really had no plan in place. It was one of those, I'm going to take the leap and, so, I ended up the first couple of years, I it all ended up working out brilliantly. I did end up taking a couple of contract projects here and there. It was always one of those things, though, it would fall in my lap magically, however. And, I just slowly but surely built up my practice. And back then it was less, online social media stuff and more, literally my very first client came from me putting flyers up in a coffee shops all around town. So I had my own meetup group. I networked a lot more than I do now. I don't go to as many of those things now as I once did. So I really kind of put myself out there, especially in the beginning. And now it's a lot more referrals, word of mouth, that sort of thing. So it took some time to build up. And like I said, now when I help people who are transitioning, we, definitely have more often than not a clear plan in place and a good exit strategy.
So one of the things that you talk about is getting out of your own way. When someone comes to you, is it apparent, very clear to you that many times they're just getting in their own way?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we all do it. We all, to some extent create distractions for ourselves, even if it's helping other people sometimes, or creating drama that's not necessary, or creating drama that's not even there. I was talking with someone the other day who was saying, oh, I would do this workout video, but every time I do it, the phone rings, or every time I do it, someone's trying to talk to me. I'm like, well, there are definitely ways around that. Can you put your phone on airplane mode for a little while, put your phone in another room, so I think that we tend to create stories a lot of times in our heads about why we can't do something. And sometimes it's a matter of taking baby steps, like one step at a time, because oftentimes the bigger picture is overwhelming.
Before we get into the show, I just want to mention Complete Truth Protein. This is a plant-based protein supplement that we've designed ourselves at Trueform. And the reason I designed it is because I felt like there was a need in the industry. Now, when I was traveling around the world, and I literally had a tackle box full of supplements and products and vitamins that did a whole lot more damage than good. So when I started doing more personal training and fitness classes, people would ask me what types of supplements I would recommend. And I always say, eat food. So that's why I've designed Complete Truth Protein around food. It's made with quinoa and hemp seeds. And one of the main benefits that it offers is improved digestion. So many of us deal with digestion issues on a regular basis. It also gives you a natural boost of energy. So if you head over to trueformlife.com/complete-truth-protein, we have tons of more details, videos, recipes, and everything you need to get going in the right direction with a good quality protein supplement. trueformlife.com/complete-truth-protein.
Trueform Life.
So when someone comes to you, like that's a good example for our audience. Is there anything you could share with us for those that continually get in their way or make reasons why it just doesn't work out day after day?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, planning ahead is one of them, as you mentioned. But really looking at the bigger picture. So what is your ideal week? What is your ideal, these are just like logistics, really. We definitely work on the mindset piece as well. But sometimes it's as simple as, all right, walk me through what happened. Like what happened yesterday where, you thought you might work out and you didn't, or you thought you might write, or whatever it is that that they wanted to do. So sometimes it's literally, let's look at your week, let's look at your day and carve out time. Literally carve out time on your calendar and then stick to it and set yourself up for success ahead of time. Just taking the smaller steps and setting yourself up for success, setting yourself up in your environment. If your weakness is chips, don't have chips in the house, like stuff like that. Most of what I work on with folks, sometimes we do talk about, health, fitness and that sort of thing, but a lot of times it's their other personal, professional goals, and just rearranging their schedule and just taking a few minutes to sit down and do that is so simple, yet it can be really effective. And then just looking at, all right, so if you want to do X, Y, and Z, you want to wake up and work out or write or whatever, then, if they make it super specific, like, all right, it's 7 a.m. on Wednesday, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z for 30 minutes. you're more likely to do it if it's on the calendar, if you remember your underlying why, your motivation for it.
Yeah, that's an important one, because when we talk about that often, because we put everyone else first. Like, always put ourselves last on the list, which means there's never time to work out, there's never time to meal plan or meal prep, however you want to put it. But when we put something on the calendar, we set that in stone. And that's going to happen. We're going to make that work. And so we say, like, you have to book yourself into your calendar throughout the day and hang on to your appointment as you would for any other appointment.
That's right. Yeah, it's non-negotiable. If it helps, tell somebody else or have a buddy, an accountability partner, so you can support each other. You got to make it non-negotiable. You're right.
So what else? So when we talk about making things, I suppose putting ourselves first, making it a priority, what are the things when people come to you and you can clearly see that they're in their own way? What are some of the common things that people have issues with? Because maybe our listeners have the same type of issues that we can help them with.
Of course, I hear a lot, I'm so busy. I'm sure you hear that a lot as well. It depending on what their goal is. Sometimes it's an underlying, worthiness. I'm not good enough. There's a fine line. Sometimes, the person needs more counseling or therapy for that kind of deeper stuff. But again, one of the more common ones is the simple, I'm too busy, which again, is that really true? We all are, certainly, we play many roles and we're juggling many things, but the first step is just being cognizant and mindful of, is that a story we're creating? Are we packing our schedules in with stuff that a lot of times it's a matter of productivity or efficiency. If you're wasting time on social media all day, just kind of browsing and scrolling, and yet at the end of the day, you're saying you were too busy to do something, then maybe that's something to look at, just to be mindful of the root cause and then kind of adjust your schedule accordingly. Yeah,
I like the not good enough part that you mentioned there, because I think that is what it all comes down to. I think that our self-worth isn't enough for us to be like, I deserve this time to set up my day to have a workout in or to eat properly. Like, we know that stress is workouts are the number one way to reduce stress. But most of us in North America are so stressed out that we're like, I'm too stressed. I don't have time to work out.
Yes, exactly. So in that case, and I do a lot of stress reduction workshops and burnout prevention, that sort of thing, and sometimes someone says, I'm too stressed to do X, Y, and Z, to even go to the stress reduction workshop. Sometimes they're too stressed or busy, right? And I laugh, but it's of course not funny. But, you do have to look at, again, that root cause. And it's really a ripple effect. Like, when we take care of ourselves, it ultimately helps everybody else. It helps our job performance. It helps us, when we're helping family members. It helps us if we're caregivers, and there's a lot of people who are helping, their kids and maybe older relatives. And when we take care of ourselves, we just have that ripple effect. Yeah.
And it seems like that's the thing when we say put yourself first. And I would say selfishly put yourself first. But that word selfish is so, it's such a bad word in our language. No one wants to be labeled selfish, but I think we need to be selfish in some regard. So we put ourselves first, and so we have more to give. I often talk about morning routines. Like, if we give ourselves a proper morning routine and we take care of ourselves first, from the very first thing that we do in the morning and whatever that may be, like, for me, nutrition is a big one for me. Mindfulness, meditation, and I like to read a bit. Like, I have a very religious routine and every morning these are things I do, and if I don't do them, my day feels like it's not right. But when I do them, I feel like I'm so, everything goes well. Like, I feel so powerful by making time for myself before, because as you know, Nancie, our work is mainly for other people. Like, we're doing this interview for other people to learn from. We write for our clients and customers. So a lot of our work is for other people. So we have to take care of ourselves. Otherwise, we have nothing to give other people.
Right. We've all probably heard that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? So you have to continually fill your cup, because if we're drained emotionally, physically, if we're exhausted, what good is it if we're not able to have the energy to help other people and to really do what we want to do.
True Form Life.
Just want to take a minute to mention Complete Truth Protein again. This is a protein supplement that we designed at True Form. We believe in food. We believe food heals, cures, and prevents. That's why this product is much different than your conventional types of products. Unfortunately, packed with chemicals, preservatives, toxins that our body doesn't know how to utilize, digest, and absorb. So that's why Complete Truth Protein can help improve your digestion and will offer a natural boost of energy. You can find more details at trueformlife.com/Complete Truth Protein.
True Form Life.
You know, well, one of the things that I want to ask you, but I'm going to put you on the spot here. It's fun. I really like to talk business. So I went to a business meeting to talk about business, and things usually go towards health and wellness in some way because entrepreneurs are the worst. never working out or never like eating right. Like we just don't have time. You have businesses and employees. But anyways, so this individual says, I need to start working out. And I was like, well, why don't you sign up for a fitness class? And they're like, I did. And I don't show up. And I was like, what? I was like, well, maybe you could try working out at home. Like, oh yeah, I have all these workouts at home, all these home workouts, but I never do them.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, how's nutrition going? Like, oh, it goes great. I know exactly what to eat. I just don't eat it. And I'm like, and I just said, I thought of it when you said the why, like we need to come up with a why.
Oh,
but I would like to know what you would say to them because maybe some of our listeners would be in that same boat.
Yeah, it depends on what the situation is, right? So, let's say if it's a nutrition thing, or if it really comes down to those choices, right? Those choices, those in the moment decisions, right? So, sometimes it's a matter of coming up with replacement behaviors, right? So if we start to notice patterns of, all right, at 3 p.m., instead of reaching for an apple or a healthy snack or taking a walk or whatever it might be, we find ourselves like wanting chips or chocolate bar or whatever, right? Then we have to either interrupt that behavior, right? But the first step of it is to be mindful of what you're doing, right? Because if we're on autopilot, it's just a habit, right? So if you're really mindful in the moment, come back to your why, and then you can even make a list of these like replacement behaviors, right? No matter if it's something, if you feel like stressed out and you grab chips or a bar or whatever, you interrupt that behavior on the way to the kitchen, for example, and you go take a walk, you do a 10-minute meditation, you do some deep breathing. So if you think about ahead of time, again, it's kind of part of setting yourself up for success. You interrupt the behavior, you have choices for replacement behaviors. And, it takes some practice, yet it's doable.
So, okay, when it comes to the being mindful is a tough one. Like we talk about being mindful, like, for example, when people eat, like people eat in like seconds. And then they're like, I have digestion issues, gas, bloating. We have that with smoothies. I'm not sure if you're aware, Nancie, but we developed our own protein supplement called Complete Truth Protein. So we're big into smoothies and helping people understand reading the ingredients. So they'll be like, oh, your protein gives me bloating when I drink it, when I drink a smoothie. And I was like, well, how? Because it happens all the time. And I was like, I know what's going on. How long does it take you to drink a smoothie? And they're like, oh, I just chug it. I drink it in a few minutes. And I'm like, well, consider putting a full glass of all those nutrients into your body and then your body trying to digest it. So, and I just said, be mindful of what you're consuming, taste it, enjoy it, put it down. And I think that we have issues being mindful instead of just coasting through life. What can we do to be more mindful so we realize that we need to take action and use a replacement behavior?
Right.
When these things come up.
It takes practice. I mean, it's all about self-awareness, right? Some people suggest to have a timer on your phone, to come back to your breath, to have some sort of timer or bell or whatever it is on your phone where you have that reminder of, what am I doing right now? Am I on autopilot? That sort of thing. If you literally throughout the day can start to stop yourself and be like, am I on autopilot? Am I, when you're eating, or just a simple step is to not be doing other things, not be multitasking. That goes with anything. But if you're eating, are you, like you said, tasting your food, or are you on your phone? Are you, reading something? Are you talking on the phone? Because then if we're multitasking, we're more likely not being mindful.
Yeah. And I think that, are we on the same page would you say that multitasking doesn't really work? Doesn't make you more efficient?
Yes. Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
something I feel strongly about.
You hear that all the time, and we do it all the time. Like I do it. I'm not gonna lie, but it doesn't make me
Sure.
understand. It doesn't make me any more efficient. And then your focus is so blurred because you have so much. You have this much focus, and it's spread out on so many different things. You're not focusing on one thing. So, especially when it comes to mindful, it'd be pretty difficult if you're trying to be like, yes, I'm enjoying this food or I'm enjoying this smoothie, but you're texting and then you're on the phone and then you're trying to eat food. Like, it doesn't work.
No. And our brains aren't set up that way, right? So it's ultimately called task switching. Our brains are just like switching from one task to another instead of being able to just focus on one thing. So it ultimately makes us feel more tired. It definitely doesn't make us more productive or efficient. And that's also when we see errors start to come up, we start to be, make mistakes in our work and have a ripple effect.
True Form Life.
I just want to mention Complete Truth Protein here once again before I let you go. This is a protein supplement we designed ourselves, made with quinoa and hemp seeds, also maca and stevia. We have 2 different types of products. They both have tons of health benefits. You can bake the original bag you can bake with. It's perfect for gluten-free flour. If you're celiac or gluten intolerant, we have tons of recipes on trueformlife.com. which include raw protein balls. People absolutely love these ones. We have pancakes, cookies, muffins, all healthy, all clean ingredients. Dorothy puts these together for us on a weekly basis. So if you head over to trueformlife.com, head over to the recipe section. We have all kinds of recipes on how you can use Complete Truth Protein. It's also a vegan and raw product. So if you have any intolerances or if you have any issues with digestion, this will definitely help you out. Once again, that's trueformlife.com/complete truth protein.
True Form Life.
And then, so when those issues come up, when you're coaching someone, how can you help them get past that? Maybe it's multitasking. Maybe we talked about being more mindful. What can we do to get them focused and on task?
Yeah. Again, it takes practice, and sometimes I keep going back to like having a schedule for yourself. But it helps. It really does. So it depends on what the person's issue is or what they feel that is kind of getting in their way or what they're doing that, So for example, if it's Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and they're hopping back and forth, or if it's email even or text and they're just hopping back and forth all day long, it helps to have a very specific time carved out for specific tasks, right? So I've also heard it called like time chunking, right? So you can have time carved out for these very specific things. A lot of people I work with have found there are certain apps that are helpful. Like if you just automatically keep going to social media, there's apps where you can block social media sites for specific times. That could be even a first step, is to like set one of those and have a timer for, 45 minutes or whatever it is, so that you can focus on the task at hand. Close out notifications, close out your email, that sort of thing. And that's one thing that could at least help you focus, especially work-wise. Put your phone in another room. So it just, it depends on the situation. But if you think about what it is, like I always really like to go back to the root cause, and we can't really problem solve if we don't know what the problem is. So if you're looking at what is the root cause, if it's, again, email, social media, texting, or your phone, I don't have Facebook or Facebook Messenger on my phone. I don't have email notifications on my phone. Like there's little things that you can do depending on what your challenge is when it comes to multitasking.
Yeah, well, I think that goes back to being mindful and paying attention to what you're doing. Like you have to, for you with your phone, you have to consciously pick it up, open the app, or maybe the app's not there. You have to go to your computer. But people just pick up their phone and hit the whatever social media and start flipping. They don't even think about it. Yeah. And then probably everyone does it. Then we complain we don't have enough time during the day.
That's exactly right.
I don't have time to work out. And meanwhile, if you put it all together, you're probably flipping through your news feed for a few hours a day.
That's exactly right. Yep. For me, I tend to, if I'm not mindful, I tend to have a whole bunch of tabs open. So I have to throughout the day, all right, am I not feeling like I can focus? And then I'll see, oh yeah, I've got a bunch of tabs. Let me close them out. So that's one thing that I have to remind myself throughout the day is what I'm doing right now getting me closer to my goal. And if it's just scrolling endlessly, or going back and forth from tab to tab, then yeah, I mean, you're right. We could be so much more efficient.
Yeah. I think that the word efficient for me, is just constantly reminding myself, especially when you're working in front of a computer or you need to get different things done. And I think that continually asking yourself, like you can put a little sticky note on your computer that says, am I being efficient? I liked how you said, is this taking me closer to my goal? Many times it's not, just because there's so many distractions, but yeah, that's something that we need to be continually reminded of. Otherwise it's just not going to work out.
Exactly. So I've had people, for example, with the social media example, I've had people feel more productive and efficient if they just carve out time, again, going back to the schedule. But if they specifically say, all right, I'm not going to look at social media until lunchtime or until 5:30 after work or whatever it might be. And that helps them, again, with the multitasking, it helps them have very specific time carved out just for that.
I have this one app that I want to recommend. It's called Momentum, I think. Have you heard of it?
No, I don't think so.
It's you install it, and then every time you open up a new tab, it brings up a nice background, pretty cool background from all over the world. But in big letters, it says, "What is your main focus for today?"
Oh, I like it.
So every time you open up a new tab, you're reminded that, because you have to put it in there every morning. And some mornings I'm like, I don't want to put that in there because I'm going to see it. I'm going to see it all day long. And then they have a smaller to-do box where you can check things off. But I think we're on the same page, Nancie, when I think focus on that one thing, especially when you wake up in the morning, you have to focus. You have to put probably the least thing that you want to do the most. We got to do that first. Yeah. There's so many ways that we can stay focused and be productive. But anyways, that's a little thing that I use, and it's pretty cool. It's always a reminder, and I always know, and it works because we all get distracted. I'm sitting here like, oh, what's that notification or what's that message? Yeah. Then I open up another window and I'm like, right. gotta go back.
Awesome. I love it. Oftentimes I work with clients in a similar manner. I really like that because that's your reminder throughout the day. But it's good to also set your intention for the day ahead of time. So what's my intention for the day? You write it out. You want to have a few clear priorities, even if it's your must-haves and then your nice-to-haves and that sort of thing. So that sounds like a good complement to where it would be, literally a reminder throughout the day instead of, setting the intention ahead of time and then kind of leaving it.
All right, Nancie, we're going to wrap things up here. Can you let our listeners know how they can get more details from you or what you have coming up here in the near future? Absolutely.
So you can reach me at nancievito.com, and it's Nancie with an IE, NANCIEVITO.com. And I will have a group coming up in January. If you want to, I always have a kind of an influx of folks who want to, change their lives and make positive, changes in the new year. So feel free to, again, get in touch with me over on my website and sign up for my newsletter, and you'll get notifications about it.
Awesome. Nancie, that was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your time with us.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
True Form Life.
All right, that's going to wrap things up for this edition of Exploring Mind and Body. Once again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in and sticking around till the end. We so much appreciate your time and efforts to be here and listen, because it does take time. We have to be efficient with our time, and maybe you're running or maybe you're driving or doing something else, but you're still taking time out for yourself. It makes such a big difference in lives, because we need to continue to find time to improve on whatever it is we're looking for to improve in our lives. Once again, that's Nancie. We so much appreciate her coming on. All past shows are going up on exploringmindandbody.com. If you ever miss a show, all past shows are there. We also have a free app that you can download on any Apple device. More details on our main website at trueformlife.com. This is where we do more meal planning, recipes, grocery shopping lists, at-home workouts. We help you get going in the right direction, so check us out there. Once again, thank you so much for being here. That's it. That's all I got. I'm out of here. As always, I'm your host, Drew Tadia, in health and fitness for a better world. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Exploring Mind and Body with Trueform Life's Drew Tadia, fitness expert. To find out more about the show, Drew Tadia, or to listen to past shows, visit exploringmindandbody.com.